Mary Beth, good to see you. Welcome to Popternative.
Thanks for having me. We've talked a lot on the internet, and I'm very excited to be here for the first time officially on
Absolutely.
Alternative.
No, I'm really excited to chat with you. Congratulations. I mean, Bystanders, you directed this. I mean, it's one of those things, too, where is it starting to kind of sink in that people are going to be able to see it soon? Because it's that weird kind of wave, right? Of like making something, editing it, and then like now people can see it. Like, what's that like for you and the team so far?
I cried like 4 times today, but like happy tears. So like that's where we're at. It's one of these things I've like Jamie's been writing the script for like 8 years. I've been involved with the script for about like 2.5, 3. And like
Mhm.
we've been in post-production for about a year. So it's almost like unreal because we've all just been in it for so long.
Yep.
And like seeing people post about it is just kind of surreal right
It's
now.
pretty crazy. And I want to talk about, the revenge slasher component of it, because that is something that is, something that, even when people see the trailer for it, that's really kind of the focal point of the film. But I'm wondering for
Yeah.
you, because from a director perspective, this film had a lot of elements at play. It obviously had kind of the forest kind of getaway component of it at the nighttime. It had the slasher components. It had different components. It had the people are scary, messed up component. As a director, which like of those elements did you really want to kind of hone into specifically while you were filming this? Is there something that you really had on like the back burner for most of it that overcame other elements? Like I'm just wondering with bystanders.
So I think the big thing that I kept in the back of my head is like keeping this focused on, yes, this is like really cool to watch, but also pulling at you in the back of your head a little bit to make you think about the violence
Yep.
and not just like all of the violence in the movie, and kind of having that be a question lingering in the back of your head about violence and revenge, which I know a lot of revenge movies do, but I think especially in making sure we always brought it back to the relationship between the three of them, especially Abby. That was a big thing in the back of my head, is making sure, yes, we want all this violence and all of these elements and tropes that kind of playing with those tropes you expect, but always wanted it to come back to the really human, like nurturing elements of the movie was always a big thing that we always wanted to come back to and keep as part of the movie consistently.
And I kind of want to. I'm walking on eggshells a little bit because I don't really want to give much away. Because I
I know
feel,
it's a weird one to talk about because it's
but
like, yeah, it is a weird one to talk about.
well, it's more. All my interviews are very like craft based. I guess it's because I'm also a filmmaker and I'm interested in kind of like, how
Yeah.
did you do this? You know,
Yeah.
rather than
No, I've become the same way. I'm like, tell me about shooting at night because I did that and I want to hear about what it was like for you because it's hard. Like that's me now. I'm like, I don't care about accessibility anymore. I want to know the inner workings of your brain.
100%. I mean, you have a poster behind you of, in my opinion, one of the scariest horror movies in oddity I've ever seen. And when I got the chat with the cast, I was literally like, I was thinking about the fact that it's like it's very difficult. You know this too, right? As like working in the horror movie, like it's hard to make like a movie that's like genuinely like scary and terrifying, right? Because
But
there's so
like you
like
also, and you never know if it's like scary until you edit it. Like you don't know if it's scary when you film it.
no,
Like
you
you think
don't.
it's scary and it looks cool, but it's not until you're like really looking at it in the edit that you're like, wait, huh? Like it's just like it's an infinite puzzle that you never fully complete, I don't think, because
No.
I don't think any filmmaker again, I'm saying all this as if I'm a seasoned filmmaker,
Mhm.
but I have learned from lots of advice from people being like, you're always going to want to tinker with it. So like just d- let it go. Like, and there comes a point where you do have to let it go. And I have, and I'm really proud of it. So
A hundred
regardless.
percent. And I find it interesting too. I just want to get back to bystanders, and you talked about like the director component of it, and the relationships and everything. There are scenes in this film, and there's kind of context that's going to be very difficult for a lot of those actors going in and doing those scenes. So I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, like, what is that kind of mindset, and what are those discussions with your actors on specific scenes in this film with that context?
Yeah, that's such a good question because I think it's really important. Like, there's also such a big discussion going on right now about intimacy coordinators, and we didn't have an intimacy coordinator on our set. We didn't think we needed one because we weren't including, explicit. We were on the fence though. Even though we were an indie movie, I don't think that's an excuse for not having an intimacy coordinator. But what we ended up doing is it was actually like a lot of conversations, especially with Brandy Botkin, who plays Abby, because from the very beginning, before she even took the part, she wanted to talk to Jamie and me to be like, she wanted to make sure we were doing this with right intention.
Yeah.
I think it's so, we know the genre and people love like use sexual assault in films as these like spectacle set pieces that don't really have much of a point. And I do think we should have sexual assault media. I don't think we should get away from it, but it's the intentionality behind it that I think it makes especially female actors feel unsure. They don't know, and we wanted nothing more but to make her feel safe. So we had these initial conversations. Then on set, it was actually Brandy's first day was the sexual assault scene, which we don't show anything, but it's still a hard headspace. So it was a closed set. It was just myself, the monitor, our DP Chance Madison, and Brandy. So it wouldn't be an overwhelming amount of people because it's still a really sensitive moment. And these were also really important conversations with the boys too. I think that was something that I had thought about, but hadn't thought about as much. But we were making these actors, and a lot of them are relatively new actors and they're younger. We're putting them in this position of being really nasty people. And it was a lot of trying to just make sure that they were okay, comforting, and letting everyone know that there's always, at least it's either me or Jeff Seemann, our producer, there's someone you can talk to about things, even if you just need to rant. But because I am a sexual assault survivor, it was really important to curate a vibe on set that was as safe as possible. And being very open with everyone that if you are uncomfortable, tell me, and you can take a break. We're never gonna force anyone to do any of this. I even said I might have to take a break because this is hard for me. So don't ever feel embarrassed. And I do understand it's hard to hear that as an actor and the director saying it, and you're like, I don't want to look, but whatever. It was a vibe I just really wanted to curate because there's a lot of stuff that they're saying and doing that's pretty intense, especially for a 21-year-old guy. So it was important for us to make sure everyone was taken care of. And we all bonded a lot, which was great because I was I don't know what the vibe is going to be, but it was a very good vibe overall. Summer camp vibes for a movie that is. So one of our sound guys said, I've never had so much fun on a movie, but this movie is so dour. And I was like, you're welcome. We're a bunch of weirdos.
But even reading the first couple of pages of it also it's very, that tone is set early on in the film too. Right. So when they're auditioning, when they're reading it, they know right away, if that makes sense. It's not like a slow burn like that.
Oh yeah, no. We had them audition, we had the frat boys audition with a nasty monologue. We didn't hide what we were doing at all. And it was amazing to find actors who were so game to do this stuff. It was awesome because our cast is phenomenal, and it's almost all newcomers. We have Jeannie Morrow and Hannah Fierman, obviously, but I am just so blown away by our cast. They're just so. Everyone work with everyone on this cast. Thank you. That's all I have to say about that. The most professional group of people and the most creative and smart and just dedicated. I couldn't have asked for a better experience directing these actors on my first movie. I was like, y'all make this easy. Thanks so much.
You spoke about the conversations with the actors. You talked about you and Jamie going back and forth with the script for years. I'm wondering on the day, are there a lot of conversations with Jamie, the writer of this film, while you're actually going and filming it? Or is it kind of we did all the talking, we're on set, we're just going to do it? I'm just wondering about that because it depends on different sets, right? Because sometimes it's go, go, go. And then there's opportunities to chat with the writer and director and everything, right?
Yeah. So there was, it was an interesting mix because Jamie did a lot of work before on the script to make it fit the location, because the initial script was written without any idea of what budget we would have, and so we had to kind of pare it down a little bit to make it fit the budget we had, which that's normal. And I think there was a lot of trust between Jamie and I because I had loved the script. I read it in 2018 before I was even remotely associated with movies, and I've always understood the vision and always understood the point. And I think that having me as the director was really helpful as to oh, you get it, you're not any changes that you make are not going to be for any other reason other than we have to do it to keep going. We had a 12-day shoot. It was a 12-day shoot. We did not have a lot of days to get it all done. And we did get it all done. So I think that Jamie and I kind of developed a relationship where she, once we started filming, fell more into an actor role, which we talked about. Like, we discussed that. I'm like, don't feel pressure to do this. Like, we just, if it's a big change, I'll talk to you. But some things I'm just going to have to make decisions on. And it's not you. It's just what we have to do to get this movie made. And she goes, great. So that was really what it was, especially because once we were on, like, actually filming in production, I think she felt comfortable to, like, fall into the characters more and let the production team handle the logistics of getting it all done. So yeah, it was a great thing. And I think, again, that relationship that Jamie and I had before set was, I think, crucial in her trust of me with the material and knowing that I'm not going to just, like, take it and make it my own because I want to. I would never do that to her. It was more that understanding of, we are making an indie film and we got to change things as quick as humanly possible. So, yeah,
absolutely.
You know this. It's always like, all right, problem solving hat needs to get on and never get taken off until you're home.
It's troubleshooting. That's literally what filmmaking is. And
it really is. You're a professional troubleshooter.
It's crazy because it's like when I was, like when I was in my, like teens, I was like a concert promoter, like booking like punk rock and like metal shows when I was like 17, 18.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That is it's like, and then I started making films and I'm like, this is the same stuff. Like, it's like this is the same issues that happen. Like, instead of a load-in time, it's like, we're like delayed on like getting processing for the actors. You know what I mean? But it's like the same thing. You know what I mean?
It's like the weirdest little things are like, oh, this one piece of paperwork got held up, so like now we're just sitting and waiting. And I'm like, is that real? Like, it's just funny, like with filmmaking, how ridiculous some of the things that happen.
For sure.
But that's just the nature of filmmaking. I feel like every person I've talked to has at least 20 different stories of things going wrong and how they fix it, no matter the budget level. So it's like, I think it's just a filmmaking thing. No matter
it's crazy. And we're both filmmakers and we both run outlets that cover horror films. I mean, Dread Central are the icons of horror movie news, and like interviews and updates, the best. I love Dread Central. We both put out our, top horror films of the year list recently. What I loved about your list and your writers and editors as well is it really showcased how like the variety of horror movies we're getting these years in terms of not just kind of the genres and the stories, but how they're being filmed and like what they're shot on and the styles and the color palettes. So from a filmmaking perspective and someone who covers these films, what can you say about the current state of horror films, given what I just said? What do you think about the fact that there's like different ways to scare people? There's different ways to show it and film it. Like, it's pretty crazy if you think about it, right?
I mean, I have so many thoughts, so I'm just trying to gather them because I have so many thoughts about the state of horror, and I'm like, I'm so happy about it because I feel like there's so much cool stuff being made right now. And I think that a lot of it's happening in that indie horror space. I mean, like, we are still always going to get like the IPs, the big Blumhouse movies, and I mean, I still watch those. There's nothing wrong with them, but I think that in this era of streaming, which is hard, like, it's hard to navigate in and of itself, but I think there are so many more models for filmmakers to make movies even more independently than they have in the past. And I think that I'm lucky to be able to get access to these kinds of movies and know about them, because some of the best movies of the last couple of years, I feel like no one has heard of because of the beauty of being able to make your art and put it out independently.
Go watch Mads on Shudder right now. Sorry. Yeah.
Please watch Mads on Shudder. One take zombie film from the guy who directed Them, the French home invasion movie that influenced The Strangers. Are you kidding me? It's the best. It was one of the best movies of last year that no one talked about.
So we're on the same page. We're on the same page.
Because we are on the same page. It's so good. But that's the thing. It's just like, you have to know where to look, which I know is a pain in the ass. But like, if you have a couple streaming services, you're able to find something interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really exciting to me, is that these doors are opening for so many more people because of these more independent ways of making movies. And like, yes, I would love for Universal to be knocking at my door to be like, here's a millions of dollars to make something. Like, hell yeah, I would love that. But we're seizing the means of production at this point, like quite literally seizing the means of production and trying to distribute on our own and get our art out there. And I think that's what's the most exciting about horror to me, because if you are not beholden to a master, you can make whatever you want. And
For sure.
I think that people are really leaning into that more than they ever have because of the internet.
But it's like, I look at a lot of the films that you were talking about in your lists, right? And, you know, what do people associate horror movies with most of the time, right? Jump scares and gore. Those are the two things, right? And you know what? I love jump scares and I love the gory films, you know what I mean? But if you think about it, a lot of the movies on your lists were like don't like go beyond that. If you think about it, they go beyond the jump scares.
It's interesting too. It's like The Substance said, "You want gore? Let's go, girls!" And like I loved that. But a lot of movie, but like it's so interesting to see too, because it's like we're not in that elevated horror, whatever we want to call that, whatever that phase was. I know we all hate that word, but it's like kind of the best descriptor off the top of the dome. We were in this, like, this is how I describe it. We like swung really serious, and now we're kind of equalizing in the middle here of having like really, really smart, awesome horror movies about trauma, but also we're getting some weird stuff in here too. That's just like, Oddity is just like a scary ghost story. Like
Oddity is
you know
like one
I
of the
mean?
scariest movies I've ever seen. Like it's so
Oddity
scary.
is so scary, and there's a couple jump scares, and it's so good. And like it's not The Substance making it, or I Saw the TV Glow, which is great because all of those movies exist in our top 10s as the most like ridiculous expanse of what horror is. But that's what's so beautiful about horror, is that like I have the People's Joker and then The Substance. Like it's just, there's so much out there. It's almost it's quite overwhelming, but also very exciting.
I'm trying to see what else made ours. I mean, Late Night with the Devil was up there for us.
It's got the AI stink on it for me. I apologize, but the AI stench is hard for me to.
I'm just stating what my list was. Like I just.
I'm just sharing. I'm defending myself.
100%. I think we had Long Legs on there. I enjoyed Long Legs. But you know, it's the director of adjoining my short horror film was in Long Legs. Shout out to Dakota. That's
cool as hell.
Yeah, absolutely. There were some first look photos on dreadcentral.com. Woohoo.
Hey,
no, I had so much fun making my list. My list changed like 20 times this year.
Oh, it was bad. I was like,
it was
trying
bad
to make it for a month.
It was a lot this year.
It was bad. It was a lot. And
there were even some that like I really enjoyed that like I was gonna maybe put in there that people didn't like as much, right? Like I enjoyed like it didn't make my list, but like I enjoyed Night Swim, and a lot of people did not enjoy Night Swim. So it was just
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like there was just a lot of that, but I'm sure it's like everyone has those, right? Where they just think.
I posted my top 30. I was like, here's my top 30 actually, because top 10 suck, and like I don't know how to like some people have like very intensive criteria of like how I'm like, I just kind of go by vibes.
For sure.
Like, I just follow the vibe. I don't have a strict criteria for that.
I want you to plug like Bystanders where they can watch and everything. But before that, Dread Central, dreadcentral.com. A lot of really cool things are happening. Also have epic pictures and everything. Like, what can you say? Anything cool news? What's going on with Dread Central that you want to share right now?
So Dread Central, it's always cool stuff happening. February is almost here, which is Black History Month, and every year we have Sheree Bohannon, one of our staff writers, Jazz and Kat from Girl That's Scary, and Zero Gravity, who is an incredible horror content creator, writer, host, everything. They're taking over and doing a ton of really cool stuff for Black History Month, which is really exciting. They've done it for a couple of years now, so I'm really excited about the interviews they get, all that good stuff. And then just keep an eye on, we're always doing weird stuff. We're always trying weird things. So just keep your eyes on Dread Central on social media.
We appreciate all the stuff you've also done for Pop Turnip Pictures. It's
always
been amazing.
Indie horror forever. We all just need to like, we're all here for each other at this point.
Absolutely. Mary Beth, so great chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time. Seriously.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This was awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So Bystanders, it's gonna be available pretty soon, right?
So it is out now on VOD.
Oh, is it out today?
Now. Yeah, it's out today, January 21st.
So I literally messaged you on release day.
I loved it. I was great. I was like, oh my God, I love a release day interview. This is awesome.
I thought it was out. I thought it was out like this week, but not today. Like I thought that's why.
You know, it's a weird day. Yesterday was a weird one in the United States, but today, yes, is the release of Bystanders. We are on currently Apple TV, I think Vudu, Fandango at home, and Amazon Prime, and a couple other places. And then keep an eye on social media because there'll be more places that's coming out later, but I can't talk about that yet. But for now, it's on VOD for rent or purchase. And if you're in Washington, D.C., we're screening it on Sunday, January 26th, if you would like to come.
You actually just solidified when I have to post this before January 26th. You did that.
You're welcome.
You know what you're doing. It's so funny. It's like sometimes I'll do interviews with people and then they're like, you know, we're screening at, you know, the Miami Film Festival like in 2 days. And it's like, you just basically made it that I have to put this out before that. It's like strategic if you think about it.
I know. I say that, but I'm like, there's no obligation to post this in time. I'm just saying
I'll put it before the 26th. I will put it before the 26th. No problem. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative, previous episodes. Until next time, it's director Mary Beth McAndrews of Bystanders and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.